call the December 8th meeting of the Committee on Committees to order. It is 9:03. Sorry I'm late. Roll call. Mr. Reiner.
Here.
Saltoff.
Here.
Mr. Sager.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Scala.
Present.
Mr. Shorten.
Here.
Ms. Wagoner.
Here.
Ms. Campbell.
Here.
Ms. Meshes.
Here.
And I'm here. And also in the audience, I count 3 other board members who I would find a place to sit you, but I don't want you that close to me with this cold. Please, I consider you part of this committee, even though you can't vote. If you have a specific issue we want to hear from, okay? There's one member of the public that would like to speak, Mr. Vanderspool. Where you at? Come on up. The you got to speak near the microphone. That's the only request.
Yes.
So.
Good morning. My name is Mr. Vanderspool. I'm a resident of 8708 Bull Run Trail, Bull Run Estates. Hope this is starting out on a good note, not a bad note. I started to express my seething anger with how the Unified Development Ordinance steamrolled over my ability to contest an ancillary dwelling unit in my subdivision. I started that process talking to the Planning, Environment, and Development Committee and a few meetings before the whole board in August. We've kind of, I thought, converged before everybody scattered, and it's a new election and new people now, so I just wanted to introduce myself to 2 concepts. I was asking for ancillary dwelling units to require notice to neighbors because it's such a huge impact. Don't care what you want to call it, granny pad, whatever, it's basically a rental unit now in my neighborhood that I considered a quiet dead-end cul-de-sac neighborhood. I'm not trying to reverse that, I'm trying to improve on the ordinance. Second concept that I think I had some traction on was I think it's high time that the county acknowledges the existence of covenants and the fact that enforcement of the covenant in a court can supersede county allowances. It's high time that be acknowledged in all applications. It's been selectively done, for chickens and noisy homeowners associations. It should be part of the process. So I look forward to bringing those that are on the Planning, Economic, and Development Committee up to speed on that, and hope we converge with like minds on the ideas we were working on. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no other members of the comment signed in, or members of the public signed in to speak. It brings us to really our main item of business today, which is to select chairman, vice chairman, and members of the various county board committees. You should have at your seat now, I think, a copy that I did, a copy that Mr. Scala did, a copy that Ms. Wagner did. I would say start first with just chairs. If you go, you can, I think that the chairs on all 3 of these are the same. But it seems to be a good place to start. Vice chair, I noticed they're not, so we can certainly talk about them. But for chairman, I have Finance Scala, myself as Administrative Services, Altoff as Law and Government, Larry Smith as Planning, Environment, Development, Von Bergen as Public Health, Jim Kearns as Transportation, and Teresa Meshes as Valley High. Does anybody have a change or a concern about those? Are we on the same page with that?
Well, I mean, I'll voice it, although I know I'm not going to be getting traction on it. But as many of you know, I had been very interested in being chair of public health. And given the amount of time I put into public health, the amount of research I do to be well informed, and the amount of commitment I have shown to the board, I thought that the fact that public health takes, puts you on so many spots, Board of Health, CV,
Community Development Block Grant.
yes, CD, that there's so many positions, I think I've shown that I can be trusted to show up well researched for all of the positions that are entitled, that go with that responsibility.
And a point of information, you were on that committee
Yes,
last time?
yes, I've been on public health, yeah.
Any other comments or changes, or proposed changes? And to respond, as long as we're talking about it, put it out for the public to know, there was 2 people that stayed on that committee from before, Von Bergen and you. And, I went with Von Bergen for my end. It's all talk.
And you and I have had this conversation,
Yes.
so I'm not saying anything off record.
Right.
I've waited 4 years,
Right.
right? So it's just one of those things that as we go through all of this, I think that, for the future, you're remaining on the committee and you're obviously a valuable input. We'll see where kind of things fall out, but I know that Teresa also made mention of the fact, Tracy also, I looked at you, also made mention of the fact that, she too wanted to chair that committee, so just to note it.
Okay.
Joe, before we
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Ms. Wagner.
So, yeah, I know it's not gonna get any traction either, but I just wanted to say I'm the only person that's been on for 4 years who does not have a chair position. So I'm just a little disappointed with that, but I understand the dynamics of the group and the board right now. So, the fact that there's somebody who is junior to me as a chair, I understand they've been on that committee, but I'm just disappointed that that had to happen.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
Was Tracy on Valley High? I don't think so.
She wasn't, no, Valley High, the remaining Valley High are me and Jim Kearns.
Okay, and Jim's,
Seems
I think that's something that I guess I considered at one point, maybe if I got this right, that you from being in Valley High would share Jim's in transportation. You're the only 2 left from Valley High?
That's
Yes.
correct, yes.
Okay. So I guess I just, with Jim being in transportation, it seems like that's a good fit for where you would share.
And I do appreciate the voice of support for giving the leadership position of Valley High, so. I do want to I want to acknowledge that too, that I do appreciate the support.
I do think it's important that people are appointed positions for which they have a degree of passion and want to really work hard to contribute. And obviously, I think because you've been on the committee in the past, you've done that. But I guess I'll ask a blunt question. Are you interested in serving on Valley High as the chair, or is that not something that you have a passion for any longer?
I think that I do have a passion for Valley High. I had not anticipated it only being Jim and I being left on Valley High. But I concur with Larry Smith that it is important to have experience on the committee to chair it. I also think, though, that in the board, there was a lot of discussion of Valley High for the last probably 10 years. And so there are a number of senior members on the board who also are very invested, and they know what's been going on in Valley High as well. But I appreciate and do accept the chair position for Valley High.
Without any more.
Well, I was just gonna say, to me, Valley High is extremely important for the next 2 years because we want to get this wing built. and I have faith in you that you can get that done. I mean, that's something we've been talking about flipping forever, and it's like, I want someone who can get that accomplished and get it moving. I mean,
Which was also one of the reasons that there was conversation of making sure you were in finance. Yeah.
Okay, and without, there's no other proposals for changes on chairman, so generally we have the support of leaving chairman as that list is that correct? Or does anybody- I don't know that we need.
I personally have no problem with it.
Okay, all right. So that gets us to vice chair. Vice chair, we're a little more spread out.
Joe, can I make a question, have a question about that? Would it make more sense to get the committees with the members before assigning the vice chair?
I'd kind of like to make certain leaderships in place personally. That's how I'd like to do it.
Okay.
You know, but at any rate, all right. On administration, if we start with finance, I think all three of them have Ms. Wegner as vice chair, or all three proposals. The second one, Mr. Scala and I had Ms. Wegner as vice chair of admin. She has Reiner as vice chair of admin.
So I switched it because I had a conversation with Pam yesterday. I would rather be vice chair of law and government
Okay.
than admin.
Right. So I need a vice chair of admin. And John, unless there's been a change, I just
Right,
have to run
right.
admin.
Well,
So-
two things. Yeah, one, I wasn't quite as avid towards getting on admin as I was a couple others, but also I've not served on admin before. To be a vice chair doesn't seem appropriate.
Well, we're gonna find that we actually have 12 leadership roles, and we only have 9 people returning.
Well, I'm fine with it then. I
So-
mean, if that's where it ends up at the end
Well,
of the day.
But
But that's partly what I'm talking about, though, is who gets on these committees
okay.
determines if there's we can pull from, who will be in that vice chair
Mhm.
position.
All right. So we're gonna leave that as a question mark. All right, you wanna be law and government, same thing, it's different from what I have, so I leave it as a
Right.
question mark. Plan and environment development, I had, and Scala and I both ended up with John Reiner as being vice there. And not all right, so that's the third change. Public health.
Can we stand there for a second?
Well, I think
just-
what's gonna happen is we're gonna do it your way in a second. I
Okay.
think what's going to be that.
Okay, all right.
All right, Altoff, I think we're all in agreement on. Saga, we're in agreement on. And then Kearns, I had you there, Carolyn, and so.
I actually, that was my mistake. The one I gave you should have had Van Hoff as Valley High. She has so much experience in long-term care.
Okay, well, so what I have is I have 4 question marks. I have 3 pretty much settled. You on finance, Pam at public health, and Brian Sager at transportation. Let's come back to the other 4, and let's try to fill in, and then we can see where we're picking from. Because, yeah, like, no offense, John, but if I pull John here, then I've also gotta move other things, okay? For whatever it's worth, by the way, folks, the one on the board there is the one that I have, just because I set it up before the meeting. It's not necessarily the end all, it's just, that's where I.
Easier to work off of that than the paper.
Okay, well, so there's a couple committees that let's start with finance, because I don't think there's any changes proposed by anybody on finance, okay?
I did have one on finance, it's just a request that, I did kind of prefer finance, and I don't know, it looks like you have a fine setup there, except that I did note that I think it's, 2 members from one district are on it, District 5.
Yep.
And I agree with you. I would prefer us to have representation across districts instead of more than two on the committee.
But if it's, if there's a reason for, you know, the chair of finance that he wants, Ms. Greeno there, I mean, I'm okay with it, but I would prefer it be on finance.
Well, I will tell you that Ms. Greeno and Ms. Wagner asked for virtually identical committees, and neither of them were particularly interested in working that out between themselves. And
Well, we
so
hadn't
that's how
talked
we're here.
about it.
That's partly how we're here. The other part of the issue is that I think everybody agrees that Kelly ought to be vice. At the same time, you know, Terry's got a background in, you know, with running a business and doing her stuff. She's got a strong suit there too. And that's why I left it that way.
I've been in business for 25 years.
Let me put them on. I know you have, John. I also know that I've got you on PED and transportation where you specifically asked to be.
Mhm.
So, you know, I can't put you, I mean, it's not gonna fit. Somebody else has to give up, and, you know, I got you on 2 that you asked for. Anyway, if you looked on the list that both Mike Scala and Kelly and I had up, we have Teresa Meshes, we have Carolyn Campbell, we have Terry Greeno, we have Brian Soccer, we have Larry Smith, and the chair Scala and the vice chair Wagner. All 3 of us came up with the same list. The only change I'm hearing candidly is from you now. I would have liked you to tell me that a couple days ago, John.
I did.
Although
You
I
didn't tell me that,
I did.
but anyway, okay.
I also had said that I mean, across the board, there are a couple of spots where we have doubled up, and I really feel like we should spread out so we have representation.
So I propose we take Kelly Wagner out of finance. Does that make any sense to anybody?
No.
Okay, it doesn't to me either. I mean, and I'm not.
Why would that be the only choice, though?
Well, that's the only place, those are the 2 doubles.
But you've got 2 people on there,
Right.
right? So
So
it's
you're
either.
proposing taking Terry off.
I'm
You
just
know,
saying,
as a
no, I'm
matter
just
of
trying to
keeping the
clarify
faith-
that there's actually
as a
2
matter of keeping
choices.
the peace, I would do that with the opportunity of maybe going on to law and government with Mrs. Alto, Miss Alto.
System.
So we could,
Did you put law and government at all, though, John?
no, I wouldn't.
Okay. So,
I did not ask for that for record, but I did ask for finance. The other day when I was working on the phone.
With that exception, is there any other issue with the finance committee as presented? Mr. Smith?
I understand the thing about having 2 people from the same district, but and maybe to Brian's point there a little bit about the passion and your skill set, I think that's more important than worrying about the 2 districts. To change somebody just because there's 2 from the same district in that particular committee, if that's where their skill set's at, that's where their passion's at, I think I would favor that over worrying about whether there's 2 from the same committee.
Well, I got back on that comment, I was on finance before, so for experience purposes, I don't know if I totally agree with that.
I don't disagree with you, John.
Yeah.
I know you got some good experience. You were in finance and P&D. For
True.
4 years, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at my list.
Can I, maybe, it would help conversation a little bit, Joe, and I don't want to put you on, out there, but maybe could you explain how you tried to establish these committees and what you looked at? And maybe that'll give us at least kind of a historical, in a way to look at the makeup.
I looked
Maybe.
at where people were at, I looked at where people requested. just to give you an idea, on my sheet, there's only one person that didn't get at least 2 committees they asked for, and that was Carl. Sorry, Carl, he's back there, but he's the only person that didn't get at least 2 of the requests they made. Several people got all 3 requests, not very many. One was Mr. Kearns, one was Mr. Sager, one was Ms. Altoff, one was Ms. Greeno, and one was Ms. Meshes.
Well, to be fair, I never said I would do any committee.
Well,
So you couldn't make me unhappy.
Well, thank you.
There's one in every crowd that's gotta be happy.
Right, well, yes.
And I guess
Very gracious.
I don't like, contentious. We
Yes.
all want to serve where we have passion. I agree with Mr. Sager about that. However, it's for 2 years. When I first came on the board, same thing.
Right.
Put me. We all can serve, we all bring specific skills, but there is absolutely nothing that prohibits us from attending all committee meetings and being recognized and still have input, right? You may not be able to vote on that committee, but your voice is heard and we all share. So just, I want to give this more importance than it is. We all ran, we all were elected, we're all going to do a great job, and we're all going to work together. And there's no reason that we can't kind of cross over those things. So I just don't want to put too much emphasis on, I have to be on this. Having said that, I have to be on.
As long as
Little
I'm
humor, but,
Just
yeah, as long as it's me. But again, I mean, really, this is an opportunity for this board to start to collaborate together and ensure that we are welcoming. Our board members from in the audience would be up here if there were enough seats and Joe wasn't sick. But again, I kind of want to lay that out there, that we all bring wonderful things, and we didn't like what we had 2 years ago, and we all ended up working pretty well together, so.
Mr. Scully, is up first.
I just wanted to point out that this is the first time in my 10 years that people are actually arguing over trying to get on finance. That's a complete rarity. It
You just told us the other day that nobody wants to be on finance.
No one usually did, but I'm happy to see people want. I guess the only other thing is, John, you were on, finance for a while. I mean, y'all want to come? I'm happy to have all 18 of you there, man. That's great. I mean, I know that it's a lot of work, but, here's my only problem, John. It's like, if I were to say that you're on finance and Terry's off finance, I feel like I'm now somehow manipulating and saying that Terry doesn't deserve to be on finance and you deserve. So I'm picking and choosing between 2 very strong people who have skill sets that could both serve finance very well. I don't.
So I'm all right with that as just a matter of keeping the peace, But I would like to just duly note that I did ask for at least 3 committees, so I mean, if, there are some junior members that are getting 3, maybe I might be considered for law and government or something else.
Well,
Oh, so you asked for, you're on for 2, is that what it is?
He's on for 2. He's, in my proposal, he was vice president of PED, and he was on transportation. I originally had him on admin, and, we did talk about that, and he said he preferred transportation versus admin. And that's how that got me.
Well, originally you had him as, because this gets into PED, but originally you had him as admin vice chair.
I did have his admin vice chair, yeah. But again, at his request, I took him off of admin and put him on transportation. And then also as part of that, and Kelly wanted to be off of transportation, and that's when I moved her back onto admin. Okay, so, because I basically switched John and her, is what I did. Mr. Kearns.
I don't want to make too many comments here today, because I'm not a voting member. However, when you talked about the 2 members from the same districts, I don't have a problem with that. However, when you look in the yellow at the finance and admin, we have two members from the same district on both of those committees. And that's the one I have an issue with, which is why I supported Kelly to be on transportation and there's a place John could go to admin services.
Well, so I did take myself off admin and I put myself in, on my sheet at least, on public health. I've been trying to get on public health for 2 years, so I guess you didn't see.
I like you on transportation because you've had some issues that you wanted to work on, and I thought you fit there really well. So,
And for whatever it's worth, that's how I had it initially. But again, talking to these two, they didn't want to be there, and that's how it got flipped. Because it also,
It's
I
not that
agree
I don't
with
want to
you.
be somewhere. It's
Huh?
just, it's not that I don't want to be somewhere. I just have a
understand. It's just
preference.
You prefer to be there, and he preferred to be there. It made sense.
But I don't want to be there. I
John's
just
looking
would rather be
at
someplace else.
He's looking to do more work. That's the only reason I suggested.
So I am going to be broken record on like all the times when we have two people from the same district on a committee. And the thing is as we just said, if you want to come to a meeting, come to a meeting. So for these places where we have double representation from a district, one of them can come off and come to all the meetings they want to for that committee and just not be a voting member. Which, as we know, generally, it very rarely does it come down to a vote so tight that one vote makes a difference. And also, everything eventually goes to the cow and then the month board meeting for a vote again.
And you also understand too, that part of the issue with all of this is the makeup of the board is reflected in the makeup of the committees.
Right. Well, so,
Okay.
for instance, in this,
So that does limit in some instances.
in just in finance, we're saying, John Reiner wanted three committees. He could, I don't see why he can't be he's not even a junior member. You've been on the board longer than I was, just not.
Consistent.
Yeah, right. Why he can't have finance and pull off Ms. Greeno. I mean, I don't want to be offensive to her, but she has three. You could easily, Mr. Reiner could easily also have three instead.
Okay. Well, you get to decide, you propose that she get two and he get three.
Why don't we just ask Ms. Greeno? I don't want to step on your toes either. Do you feel strongly about finance?
I do.
Okay, I'll just back off on my
finance
finance.
and accounting. I've run a business for 20
That's
years.
fine.
It's a
I'll back
passion.
off on finance.
Mike, I totally get it.
If there's something that
I'm not trying to pick
comes up
winners.
that offends me on finance, I'll go to the meetings. I'm fine with that.
So then,
Let's move on.
So finance we leave as it's sitting up there, and which is also the same way that Kelly has it, the same way that Mike has it.
so it's the way you have it on this sheet.
So
It's
make
the way I have it on this,
On this sheet. And yes,
And that's the same way that it's on that board
board.
right now.
So
Okay.
Teresa, me, Terry, Kelly, Brian, Larry. Got it. Admin.
I was gonna try to pick some easy ones off first. If we do PED, the only change on PED is who's chair,
The vice chair.
vice chair rather.
So-
Otherwise, it's the same committee on that board that Kelly has and that Mike has.
So I was just, I had asked for vice chair. That's how I ended up getting onto Valley High, I think is what in the end. But now you were on for 4, I was the Conservation District trustee, so at a government level, countywide level position. So I think I've been in that kind of a role for a long time, not just my past time here on this board. My understanding is you have similar professional backgrounds, and I thought another advantage to mine being up there is rather than having 2 leadership positions representing your professional backgrounds, you maybe have a little bit of a mix. So more of the environmental and planning background to add that voice to the leadership.
Respectfully, I don't agree, but that's, agree to disagree.
I put, and the reason I listed John there is because I'd actually served with John on this committee, and I know that John is the only person on our board that regularly applied for permits at PED. And as a result, he has a perspective on the planning department that we don't usually get. And, you know, with the fact that he's been there for 4 years, it made some sense to me to put him in. And that's how I picked it. I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but that would be, if it's up to me, I would still vote to put John Reinert there. And I still keep you as the vice, but just on the other committee.
Yeah, I just didn't ask for Valley High.
I understand.
So. we'll
And
get-
I don't think any of us get everything we
No,
want.
and that's fine, I don't have to stay on Valley High.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not, this is not like I will stay on Valley
Yeah.
High issue, we'll get there when we get there. But that's fine, I just wanted it known that I had asked as well, and I'm fine with you being it, so, thank you for.
Any other changes or corrections on that?
Otherwise, it's all the same on the three?
I think that's all the same. I mean, Kelly, do you agree? Is it, I mean,
Yeah.
I know by the time I got to there, I was going pretty quick before the meeting.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I'm sorry, Joe, what are we agreeing to?
What's, on PED?
Yeah, I'll be chair, you'll be vice chair.
As
Okay.
Joe wrote, yeah.
No, Larry. Reverse that around.
Larry wants to know what's going on.
Okay, I'm
That's
sorry.
my
I'm not
talking man
speaking
over
loud
here,
enough, but,
playing.
all three sheets that came in today had the same people. The only question on that committee was vice chair. I think it should be John, just for longevity, if nothing else, but also because he's got a different perspective on planning than the rest of us do.
Okay, that's fine.
As chair, can you work with this guy?
Oh, now you're gonna ruin it for me, Joe.
He's got to say this in public. Put him on the spot.
Yeah, just once a month. So. Be okay.
Nice.
Do it at once.
Transportation, I didn't get a chance to look. That's got changes, okay. How about Valley High, does that have changes?
Larry has his hand raised.
Yeah, good.
I'm sorry, Larry, go ahead.
That's okay, but the public health thing, when I look at your sheet anyway.
It's very different. I was just trying to get the ones we agreed on first and then kind of tuck those aside.
Yeah, I understand that,
But
but if
there's
we
two
agree to this one
columns.
and a person is in that group, if they wanted something in public health, then now that we've already put them, pigeonholed them into that group, and public health is, I look at it as there's 4 brand-new members on public health.
That's because there's only 2 people that were carried over from the prior committee.
Yeah, I
There's 5
understand.
brand new members.
I understand that, but also get a member here that, with experience, Kelly, of being part of the county board and hearing public health issues, that wants to be on public health, if I get the understanding correct. And that's probably the only committee where we got 4 brand-new members, a
No,
chair.
there's
I
several
kind of that
places
too.
where we have
No,
4
it's
or 5
for-
brand new members.
But I think he's talking about not new for the committee, new to the board.
New to the board, right?
Not, so that's a
Oh, I
difference.
see, yeah.
Yes.
May I just say, though, just because we're new to the board, that doesn't mean that we don't bring a wealth of experience from the private sector.
Correct, but.
So that should be considered as well.
I think so,
Certainly.
Gloria, and especially in your case.
Yeah, there's no problem with Gloria being there, I just,
Right, no.
just like 4 people that hadn't been on the board, that's all.
I would suggest doing law and government next, because that seems to have a couple
Consensus.
of minor things, but
Yes.
Okay, do law and government next, let's do that.
Did we change any of this yet, or no? Because I thought we had already changed something.
Why don't we, if we nail
But
out.
we didn't agree to
We
anything.
haven't changed anything.
Finance is the only thing we got through.
And PED.
And
So-
PED. Finance and PED are the way they are on that board, which also coincidentally is the way they are on all the sheets.
Okay. Can I just make a couple comments, just to?
Sure, go right
Okay,
ahead.
so just so the new members understand, because I don't think anybody, and I don't think Larry was suggesting this, just because somebody is new to the board, I think we are taking into consideration what their background is, and, right? We talked about that at the very beginning of this meeting, so everyone who's new, we're looking for that whatever you're bringing, and get you on the right committee, so that wasn't the point.
And we're also looking at what they asked for.
And we have to look at what people asked for, And so that's important. We could, the thing about continuing with, if we do handle some of the harder ones and we get those nailed down, I think we might get things going into the other, if we do another easy one, we may.
Let's
No,
hold on. I
yeah.
still vote for doing the easy ones and.
Okay.
So here's an easy one, public health. Put me on and take Teresa off. If she said she was willing to go to
I think.
admin.
And my problem with that is that I only have 2 people that were on this committee before. And I would like to keep Teresa there because she does have that background. I mean, I really am not in favor of taking her off the committee she has experience with. I mean, I'm more than welcome to have her on admin, that'd be fine, but, you know, I don't think that the committee should only have one person who's been on it before.
What do you prefer, Teresa?
Yeah, what do you want, Lisa?
The truth of the matter is, I go to all the meetings, especially when I can get off of teaching. So it doesn't really matter to me where I vote at, because the vote that matters is the end of the month meeting.
Except didn't you express interest in serving on some of the commissions?
I am, but if you're the only commission that I would be kicked off of, because most of them you're not gonna be on. I was under the impression that the chair is the one that goes to the Board of Health. The chair is the one that goes to the Housing Grant Commission. Is Senior Services Grant Commission. That's the only one I wouldn't be on by being pulled off of Public Health.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that might be how it had been, but doesn't mean that's how it can be going forward. I mean, if the chair wants you to serve as a liaison, then.
She has that, or he has that availability to ask.
I mean, I
don't think it's a senior services and community development housing grant. That's in their rules, where that comes from. I don't think it can be appointed.
Well, I didn't think so either. I thought it was in the rules.
I mean, you could change the rule. I know, I'm quite certain through the Community Development Housing Grant Commission that the rule of the commission is that public health chairman is the chairman of that and P&D chairman is the vice chair of that, and that's part of their rules.
Each of these commissions are different.
Yeah, I don't know about whether senior services has that rule in place or not, but
Right, I mean, Senior Services Grant Commission is discussing changing the rules because currently it puts all of the public health board members onto the committee immediately. But we at least one time in the last 2 years had a quorum issue because the board members didn't show up. And so there was talk of not having all the board members be put onto Senior Services Grant Commission, instead maybe doing it more an appointment style. And if we're gonna do appointment style, it also then doesn't matter if I'm on Valley High is certainly gonna deal with some senior issues. I mean, the point of Senior Services Grant Commission is to make sure that people can stay in their houses as long as possible and be independent as long as possible. But there's overlap between Valley High issues and how can you serve the community so that they can stay independent, right? So if we're gonna be willing to appoint people from from wherever, I can be appointed on Senior Services Grant Commission without being on public health.
Ultimately, what do the 2 of you want to do? I mean,
Yeah.
guys, I mean, it's not a question of whether either you're capable, you're both capable.
Right.
But-
Well,
I
I said, Kelly, I offer you public health.
And how about you take
And
the
then-
Senior Services Grant Commission
If
portion of my duties?
If allowed, I will definitely
Okay.
take that, stay on Senior Service Grant Commission.
Okay, and then.
I
where-
think that
where
would
did you
require
have
changing
her go?
board
And then you
rules,
had
but
her on
that's-
admin,
I'm sorry.
and then you moved her to administrative. She
Yes.
switched to admin.
Want me to switch the board or no?
Yeah. Should we switch the board?
Yeah.
If you guys are okay with that, we're, switch the board,
We
so
got
you're
PED and
taking.
finance done.
No, you need a chair for admin.
Joe,
Yeah,
in public health, we have,
I'll just put myself there for the moment.
we have Mr. Hendricks there,
yes, we do.
who did not ask
He didn't
or
ask.
want to be on public health.
I
It
understand.
was a switch, I thought it
And,
was a swap.
but we're gonna be losing an experienced
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
we are.
member
People
and
don't
staff,
want
Mr.
to.
Hendricks.
Yeah, I'm not backing off that, that's changed.
You're what?
I'm not changing that. If the 2 of them want to change that, I'll let them change it, but I'm not taking Mr. Hendricks off.
of public health?
See, I would take Mr. Hendricks off and leave Teresa on public health.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
And
what was
we could
the
do that
reason?
and put Mr. Hendricks on admin, although we would have two people
He's
from the
already
same.
on.
We already have me
Okay,
and Mr.
oh, got it, all
Okay.
right.
Which I also, when we get there, I'm going to argue, I don't want two people from the same.
I know.
Well, he won't be there anymore.
Except, again, don't lose sight of the fact that people ask for specific committees. And as much as we are acknowledging everyone to try and have an even place, don't lose sight of that as we sit here and move people around.
Right.
Mr. Coppel did not ask for administrative services.
And Eric did not ask for public health.
He did ask for public health, but he didn't.
Yes,
ask-
he did.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not on the sheet,
I had
you
talked
mean
to him,
later?
so yeah, I know he
Okay.
did. Yeah.
No,
He wants public health, he wants transportation, he
No,
wants.
Coco, I'm
Let-
talking
let-
about
Can we
Eric
finish,
Hendricks. He never
can we
asked for
finish the
public
other
health.
part?
Oh, no, right.
Everybody else now on public health is the same on all three lists. Okay, with that change.
Okay.
All right,
So what do you have, what do you have
So
there?
you're taking,
so the change has been is Teresa Meshes is off, Kelly Wagner's on,
Okay,
on my list and your list, and
everything else is the same?
everything else stays the same.
Okay.
so does that take,
That Lake's public health is.
No, this is health.
Well, Coppel and Hendricks could switch for
Yeah.
public health and admin.
From admin too.
And that would make both of them happy, I think.
no, because
No,
Eric Hendricks
Kunkel's
is
got
already
what he
on.
want asked for.
Oh, he's already on.
He wants the other double, he wants a double vote.
It's not your caucus.
Could we just review the membership, please, as proposed for public
Okay,
health?
as the membership's proposed now with this, with the change in place that they're proposing. Gloria Van Hoff, Eric Hendricks, Mike Shorten, Kelly Wagner, Vice Altoff, Lou Ness, and Chair Tracy Van Berg.
Thank you.
Is
Okay?
that okay?
Yeah.
Since that led to change, all right, do you want to try to do, well, because that change directly goes into admin, can we reflect that change too?
So you're
So
not
go
on
to
admin
admin
now?
next. And what you'd have on admin as a change, as a result of that would be Kunkel and Meshes, Reiner, no, John, you were not on admin,
Correct.
right? Okay, sorry, Kunkel, Meshes, Hendricks, myself, Terry Greeno, Pam Altoff, Lou Ness.
So,
We're gonna make this VP.
Who do you want to be VP?
so Lou did not ask
Tracy, you
for
want to be VP
admin
of admin?
services.
I can be chair of admin, or
Well,
vice
not
chair of admin.
I'll
yeah.
make you vice, but I'm like,
I'll take your job.
So are you going on admin?
I am on admin, yes.
so that would change it from Kelly, they've changed both roles,
Yeah, they changed, right.
okay?
Simple. So that, okay, perfect,
So
so
then
that way.
Teresa's vice.
And then who's vice?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So who do we, I'm sorry, who do we have on that?
7.
Okay, I'll read it from the
Yeah,
top.
go ahead.
From Matt Kunkel, Teresa Meshes as vice, Eric Hendricks, myself as chair, Terry Greeno, Pam Altoff, and Lou Ness.
I mean, the only issue is that, I know the rest of you don't mind, but it's, I feel like it's a simple rule to keep, that we don't double up on districts.
Okay, well, so instead of
So-
moving you to admin, where would you like me to move you?
Why don't you?
I mean, you guys just made that trade. It wasn't like that 5 minutes ago.
That's an easy switch because it doesn't involve any other committees outside of that are moving, because now you move her
Well,
from
no,
admin somewhere else.
He's just saying that you created the situation that she's,
Right.
yeah.
Are
You
you
just
on?
agreed to the situation when you pulled off of public. health.
Teresa, can I ask you a question? What, I'm just trying to understand the thought process about the hang up with two people being from the same district.
Well, we have my point is, sometimes in the board, we like to say, we're not following the rules, we're not following the rules. This is a really easy rule to follow, and we're just saying, right away, we're saying we don't want to follow it.
Well, okay, but besides the rule side of it,
Right.
because I think, to me personally, the rule is not a very good one,
Yeah.
personally, because for all the reasons we've already talked about, to me, it's the talent. I mean, I know myself, I don't have time to go to 7, well, in this case, 5 or 6 different committees. And so I put my faith and trust in the other board members that are on that committee. And when they come out of their committee with a recommendation, I trust that recommendation based on the skill sets and the knowledge of those, committee members. And so whether they're both from District 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, I really don't care. I mean, I really, to me, a high-functioning board is looking at skills and talents of the individuals and not where they happen to live. I mean,
Well, the other thing is, so here, when I gotta look at administration services, which districts are not on there now? So one's on there, obviously, two's not on there. We're missing 2, we're missing.
You're always gonna miss, you're always
You're always gonna miss 2.
Yeah, because there's 7 versus 9.
This whole, right, but you're gonna miss, it's a question of having only, you have to lose 2, you have to lose,
Well, you
it's a whole, also a whole
Is there any district that's not on there that wants to be?
Well, here's the
I don't think
question,
we're
so-
stepping on any toes
when we
here.
look at holes in the county,
Why are we arguing in?
geographical holes in the county. So like, when we jump to transportation, which I realize you and Jim probably don't want me to jump to, there's a whole hole of the county that's not being represented in transportation.
Can I ask to take a straw
Geographical
poll
area,
on
not
whether,
represented.
take a
Let-
straw
let's
poll
throw a
and show
poll
of
on that,
hands,
on that.
who's got a massive issue with 2 people from a district serving on the same committee?
Just me.
Well,
And let's stop let's stop,
Yeah.
let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's just go.
The only thing,
So
the only thing I
please.
want to say really quickly is, I really don't want to be, I never asked for Valley High.
I
So I'm
understand.
trying to find a place to fill in. So, you
So you wanna
have.
be on 2 only committees?
No,
Because
I
that's
wanna
the
be
next
on-
choice.
No, it's not the next choice. I had marked it down for what I wanted. I know that Eric and I
I understand,
overlapped.
and you got 2 of those, right?
Okay, now wait a second.
You got-
Everyone else
you
is
got
getting
2
3
of those
choices
things.
in their top 3, and you're telling me if I don't take Valley High, I don't get 3 choices, when you've got people who have got all 3 choices that they wanted, and we're not moving them.
I didn't get all 3 choices.
I'm not saying you.
Nor did I.
I'm saying some people.
Okay. Just
So
saying.
Mr. Kaminsky got 1 back there.
All I said was I would fill in, I just would prefer not doing Valley High. I'd ask for a vice chair, I'm fine if I don't get a vice chair. And I'm willing to do, I talked about law and government would be great, because I think that would be good with my background, but, I could fill in it with transportation, maybe admin, that's all I'm saying. I'm just putting it out there that we have a
Caroline, I
whole.
would say, sit here and try and figure that out, and who you take off, and who you would replace that hasn't asked for that, or that isn't, and that's the hassle,
I
right?
mean, the reality is
I
only
mean,
2 people asked to be
Kelly
on
and
Valley
Teresa
High.
flipped.
Only
to
2
their-
people
Yeah,
asked to be
no, I
on Valley
understand
High
that.
out of the 9,
That's fine.
okay? So we don't have anybody asking for Valley High. If we did it just by that, I got a 2-member committee. Anyway, okay, on admin, are we okay with admin and with that
Yep.
change?
Yep.
Yes.
With mesh, yeah.
Yes, I'm fine with
And
that.
Teresa's bucks, okay. Law and government, you want to do that next?
Do trans,
Do transportation first? Okay, we'll do
because
transportation.
I don't think there's much change there.
Um, All right. I'm sorry, I didn't get this far on the list, Kelly.
Yeah, but we then would have to take something off.
The only change that was on trans that you and I had, Joe, was, you had Reiner in and Kelly out.
And we still have that change. I'm trying to figure out who, you put Eric Hendricks in, and I'm trying to figure out who we took out.
Well, Kelly has a quite a
Kelly
bit.
has Hendricks in
And Kunkel out.
and Kunkel out, okay.
On transportation?
Yeah.
That was it.
I'm sorry, what, did I miss something?
She takes my down.
No, I was trying to compare Kelly's.
That's
No, no.
Okay, fine,
We got it.
What was
We got
different
it.
with Kelly's?
We have a deal here.
Bill and I had it.
We might not, because I still want long government, if you're talking about long government.
No, it
No,
doesn't.
well,
you
well,
say
wait,
it's
let's-
less.
Let's do transportation, that's what we're on, and then we got 2 more to go, and we'll see what they're gonna do. But, transportation, the only change was, from what's on that board is, well, there's 2 changes. No, there's only 1 change.
Putting Reinhardt in and taking Kelly out.
Well, that's already been done on the, that's already on the board, that one.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
correct.
But Kelly, you have Hendricks on, and I'm trying to figure out who did not make it because of that.
I guess it was Kunkel.
Kunkel, okay. So on that board, it's Kunkel, on Kelly's, it's Eric
It
Hendricks.
doesn't matter to me, I don't remember why I did this.
Okay, I would leave it the way I have it, just because if I move Eric, I gotta move something else too. But that's all.
Well, although, or he gets 2 committees, I mean, this is what I'm talking about.
But Coco really did want transportation, so.
No, I'm not saying that.
Oh.
I'm just saying, you know, you said to me, and just, and I'm, again, I'm gonna go wherever we end up, and that's fine. But to tell me I can only be on 2 unless I do something, when somebody else
Well,
has
there's
3.
5 people that are gonna end up on 2 committees.
Okay, well.
I mean, that's just the
somebody else.
reality of it, because that's the way the numbers work.
Absolutely.
Okay, I mean,
So
I
if you
suppose
have
you
a
could have
problem-
1 person on 1, and then they would have 4 people on 2 committees, but, you know.
All I'm saying is you have other people who can drop down to 2.
Hey,
You
Carolyn,
can- you can come back up to 3.
I would say, let's set this all up, and then if someone who has 3 wants to only have 2, and you can plug in there, I don't think anyone's really gonna care.
Do you
I
currently
understand
have
that, but we
3?
have, we actually, I do have 3,
Split.
and I have, we
Split.
have something that we've agreed to that we could move,
Okay.
that would allow us to move things around, so I'll let you, when we're ready for that, we can tell you.
Okay.
So transportation, if we leave Kunkel there and leave Eric off, we're okay, otherwise, you're not, that's not a deal breaker for you, Kelly? You're okay with that?
No, no, I don't. I was,
Okay.
that was all manipulated because I wanted to put Carolyn on admin.
So where are we? We got Mike.
So the transportation.
So transfers over.
We have Valley High and law and government we have to talk about.
So,
So.
That's what I
let's do-
recommend.
Let's do Valley High. I just want to go through it right now, let's see what we have, what the differences are, and then we'll hear your proposal. Okay, just give me a second. Just have Kunkel. It's the same, green is the same, short's the same. No, it's the same. It's the same. Your change on Valley High was
what I would do.
no Carolyn, and instead of Carolyn, there is Kunkel.
No, no, excuse me, I'll just go, can I just?
No, I'm looking at Kelly's
so
list
my-
compared to what's on the board, and then we'll.
Yeah, I had
Oh, I see
added
what you're saying.
Kunkel, and I also, my sheet was wrong here, I would put Van Hoff as vice.
Mhm.
We're talking about Valley High.
Yes.
Okay.
Valley High, so the difference between the list that we have is Kunkel's on, Campbell's off, and Van High, vice, instead of being, Carolyn says she's not there, you're proposing Van Hoff.
So, can I just make a,
Go right ahead.
thank you. I'm going off of Valley High only if I have somewhere to go.
Okay?
Okay. So what we had talked about was putting Lou Ness in my place, so put her on Valley High. Gloria would go to admin, and I would go to long government. So we fill in the holes.
And Lou has said that she will go anywhere she needs, she'll be happy wherever she is.
And that
Well,
would be.
that's not quite true. She absolutely wants public health and PED.
Well, we're not
Yes.
taking.
I
away
know,
that.
I just clarifying
Oh, okay.
this, she's not happy wherever she goes.
Those, keep those 2. Yes.
That's true.
Yeah,
So-
but just clarifying.
So let me, I'm not arguing, I just want to make certain I understand the proposal. The proposal is, you're off of, you are off of vice. In place of vice for you, I would put
Gloria.
in, well, Gloria's already on.
Oh,
so
I'm just move up there. Yeah.
She'd just be vice.
So Lou Ness would go on,
Lunas would switch with you. And
Right,
then
and
you
then-
would be where?
and then I would take lawn government, and Gloria would go to admin.
Can you
So,
move that on, can we do that on the board, please? Thanks, thanks.
so Lou Ness goes to Valley High,
Lunas goes to Valley High.
which is in keeping, I think, with the public health
Instead of,
that she's already on. That makes
Matt.
sense.
instead of
Tell
Kunkel,
your teacher.
Yeah,
No, it's instead of Carolyn.
So then, Gloria would go to admin. Gloria goes to admin.
not from there though, she goes to admin from, nope.
From-
I gotta find you.
From government.
There you go, there we go. Oh, you're in there together.
That's fine.
That should be-
I decided to also acquiesce on my
Make sure
following
we
the
have
rule.
the breakout.
I'm doing that right now. So I got this.
But now you just put two people from District 3 and law and government. What
I
are you
know,
doing?
I know, well, I decided to then count who the holes
You know,
are. I decided transportation,
So she's got two now, the rules she's
There's
worried
more.
about, she's not broken it twice.
no, I didn't mean to break out MS services, but I started counting districts for holes. Who's not being represented geographically? But
Okay.
I thought we were done with admin already.
All right, wait a minute, I just want to,
I've lost.
we're all lost.
I don't know where we are.
So I want to, I
I'm here,
know that's
and
just
this-
3 steps, but I want you to repeat them to me.
Okay, so
So-
I come off of Valley High. In my
Okay.
spot is Lou Ness. So Lou Ness comes on
So
to Valley
Lunas
High.
comes over,
I am off.
and you're going to where?
So Lou Ness, okay, she's off. I'm gonna, Gloria is gonna be taken off of law and government, and she's going to admin.
Place of Lunas.
Mhm. And then I go to law and government, taking her spot.
CC.
And Gloria goes to admin, right?
And Gloria
Right.
goes to admin.
Which is what,
So basically what we've done is we've switched
That's
on
more in
on
keeping with what
administrative
you're asking for.
services, we've switched Lunas for Gloria.
Yes,
which makes sense, because she didn't.
And we've moved Lunas
to
to
Valley High.
Valley High
in place of,
in place of Carolyn.
And Carolyn then goes to law and government in place of Gloria.
Gloria.
Got it.
like,
And Gloria is VP.
right, that's what I
Yes.
said.
And Gloria's vice, that's,
Of
that's,
Valley High.
for Valley High, correct. And Carolyn gets to move to be 3 for 3?
You told me if I could figure it out.
So do you still have at Valley High then, Mike, Terry, Carl, and Jim?
Hang on Valley High, I have, the new list on Valley High would be Teresa Meshes.
Yep.
It's up there.
Okay, yeah, but he can't read it from there, I know.
I can't see it.
That's why I'm sitting here.
So here's what I have. If I'm wrong, correct me, here's what I have as a Valley High. I have Teresa Messes as chair.
Mhm.
I have Gloria as vice. Right?
Mhm.
Then I have Mike Shorten, Terry Greeno, Carl Kaminsky, Lou Ness, and Jim Curtis.
That's what I've got too.
Yep.
Correct? Okay. Now, because we switched them, let's go over to admin next, or we'll go to law and government next, because we haven't done that yet. But on law and government with these changes, vice we still have to talk about. But we have Kunkel, we have Eric Hendricks, Carolyn Campbell, Mike Shorten, Terry Greeno, Pam Altoff as chair, Brian Soccer.
Reno's on there on the board. Whoops, let me fix the board.
Yeah, we have me and,
Oh, man, okay,
I'm
I'm
on law
wrong, sorry, we
government.
don't, we don't, Terry's not there. That's wrong. Yeah.
It was Kelly.
Oh, yeah, it's Kelly, right.
It's Kelly's there. Okay,
and I would like to be vice chair if possible, since I do not have a chair position. That would give me 2 vice chair positions.
I'm fine with
I'm still got, my names are still screwed up because I still have 8 people on my list, so I'm trying to.
Oh,
to-
all right,
I'm trying to get to
it's
7.
Matt Kunkel,
Okay,
that. Take
it's
away.
Eric Hendricks,
okay,
it's Carolyn Campbell,
okay.
Mike Shorten, Kelly Wedner.
It's, I had Gloria still here for.
Yeah, you
Oh,
would
Okay,
take-
that was
yeah.
my-
Get Gloria
that
off,
was my
right.
guess. Yeah, I
Is
can
this
still
law
count to
government?
8, guys.
Yes.
There's my problem, 'cause I was hoping to get on law and government and switch with Gloria. Or, I mean, see if, because you didn't want law and government anyway.
Not particularly, no.
And that doesn't matter because she's not there.
Right.
So, all right.
Did Mike Shorten want long government? I gotta look at this. Look it up.
I did.
He's on.
Yeah, he did.
He did, oh, let me see.
And then on
That
admin,
was
just so that
his,
we're clear with this change, Kelly's not on admin, correct?
Correct.
And
It's Kunkel, Van Hoff,
Van Hoff,
Eric,
Eric,
you,
me,
Terry,
Terry,
Kelly, me.
Nope.
no.
Oh, no,
Take
no,
out.
sorry.
You and Lunas.
Yeah, and Lou.
No, Lou,
No,
this
Lou's
is
off.
off.
Meshes.
I took, I
Meshes.
forgot to, yeah, I
Meshes.
forgot to take her off. No, I said.
Thank you.
Mesh.
6, 7. Ah, okay.
So what about Kelly's
And I had
request
Shorten
for-
as vice, and I'd still like him to be vice. He's been quiet most of the morning.
Yes,
You want to
yes.
be vice?
I would like vice.
Wait, what, for what?
You, for admin.
Or-
No, law and
No,
government, you're
law and
saying.
government.
No, I would
Short
like to be
law
vice
government,
chair
I'm
of
sorry.
law and government.
We're on admin, aren't we?
I thought we were.
Admin's done, I think.
Oh.
Admin.
And who's vice
Although we
chair?
have that change, everybody has.
Could you go through admin one more time?
Yeah, we do need to
And
go
who's
through it.
vice?
Okay.
Kunkel,
Um,
Meshes,
On
Hendricks.
admin, it's myself, Teresa's vice, Kunkel,
Althoff.
Van Hoff, Eric Hendricks, Terry Greeno, Pam Altoff.
Right.
Is that?
And then Lou Ness is off?
Yes,
Lou Ness
she
is
moved
on.
over to
Went to-
And
Valley
then who is
High.
vice?
Valley
Teresa.
High.
Teresa, right now on the board.
So Lou Ness is now in Valley High, Carolyn's now off of Valley High.
Okay, so then law and
And
government.
then law and government, we have, with these changes, if I got them right, I have Kunkel, Hendricks, Campbell, Shorten, Wagner, Sager, and Altoff.
I'd like to interject just real quick. I was wondering if I could maybe bump possibly Kunkel for law and government?
And then you'd move Kunkel where?
He does have a pretty
Or you're just
strong
taking-
law enforcement background.
Does he?
Right.
And that was his
Okay, well,
first choice.
That's a bad idea.
And it was
his first choice.
right, it was his first choice.
Yeah, and,
Okay,
yeah.
all right,
Yeah, I mean, that was why I made him vice chair, was just because he was a former police officer. so
that makes a lot of sense to me too.
Well, I would ask if I could be vice chair. Does anybody have a problem with me being vice chair of law and government?
I don't have a problem with that, other than
Okay.
this. It is a place to train somebody. You're a vice chair of finance, and I was gonna have you as vice chair as admin, but we've changed that around.
Right, well,
I think it's a good place to train somebody. but-
well, he's never been on the committee. I would prefer that somebody who has experience on it be vice chair before somebody has not been on the board before.
Pam, your chair, what do you think?
He's sitting right here. Ask.
Are you okay if I'm?
No, I prefer to remain a vice chair.
So, if I can interject, I think one of the things that is very helpful is knowing all the staff that you're gonna be interacting with, and that's one of the things that returning board members have, is we know the staff. And we kind of have a sense of how the board works. And the vice chair doesn't usually have to do much, in my understanding. They do occasionally become very important when they then have to chair, right? And it's very helpful to know who it is that you're supposed to be talking to in the room. and like have a experience with them.
Right, and I'm sorry, I have a problem with people who are chair and vice chair, and I am one vice chair, and I am senior to some of these people who are chair and vice chair.
I'm sorry, I'm just counting. I'm not ignoring you. I'm actually trying to count, make certain I don't have a committee with the wrong members on it.
And I think,
No offense, but you're on deaf ears. I wanted 3, I only got 2 committees, so.
It's not
You
gonna
at least
work
got
out
3
perfectly
committees that
for
you're happy
everyone.
with, and now you want 2 vice chairs. It doesn't really weigh much with me.
Well, I guess the other question is, I don't know your background, Mr. Shorten.
I have quite a diverse background.
Okay.
I'm kind of a jack of all trades. In my professional life, I work in account management, which exposes me to a lot of different things. So a lot of these committees I could probably step into. Obviously, there's a thought drinking from a fire hose that'll take place, but I can adapt pretty easily. I've served an elected position as a trustee in township government, so I'm familiar with operations and meetings and what have you, as far as understanding what goes on in law and government. Again, I'm comfortable that I can adapt to that. I'm also, while I'm not certified as a lawyer, I'm very ingrained in state statutes and understanding processes and what have you. So no specific background, but I think I can fit into the role well, and I think I could learn well from Ms. Althoff.
So somebody made a comment about police officer?
Mr. Kunkel is.
Kunkel.
Oh, Kunkel.
Kunkel's a
Sorry.
retired police officer.
I got you, I'm sorry. I was waiting for that to come up, and I thought he meant,
No,
I thought it was,
no.
well, that's a lot of stuff you got going on there. Okay, sorry, I apologize.
well, I still would like to be vice chair. I hear what everybody's saying, but I'm also the senior member here.
So you want finance, or do you want?
Yeah, I'll take your finance.
I would like both, because I do not have a chair position. Ms. Von Bergen has been on for 2 years, Ms. Meshes has been on for 2 years, and they're both chairs of committees. I've been on for 4 years, and the way this is looking, I would have one vice chair position, and that is all, and I'm not happy with that.
Mr.
Well, I think
Smith?
Tracy Von Bergen and Teresa Meshes fell into those, not fell into it isn't the right way to say it, are in those positions because they were in those committees previous, and with the large change over the board, they were the only ones in those committees. So I think that had a lot to do with it.
That's true, and I've been on law and government before, and Mr. Shorten has not been. So, same thing would apply here.
Maybe Larry Smith should be vice chair of finance.
Is there a problem with me having 2 vice chair positions? Because if you look at what's here,
They're just training positions.
there are people here who
There
are on.
gives people an opportunity to learn the roles. I mean, I don't think it's gonna make a great deal of difference one way or the other. It's the last thing we have on this agenda. What do you guys want? What's the preference of the board?
Well, if it doesn't make a difference, then Kelly, who has seniority, should be vice chair.
And then Mr.
Man, if it
Short.
was seniority, I would have been chair of all the committees all the time, but let's,
Well, I'll agree to that too, Pam.
I mean, so the only way to do that is again, a hand vote or whatever. I mean, we can't sit here and
I
just
certainly see the
swirl our
people with less
hands.
by seniority also.
Right,
It just doesn't line
clearly.
up with me in this argument.
All right, I put Shorten up, so.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Mike, did you get all the committees that you wanted?
Only 2.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of people here did not get everything that they wanted. It's a compromise. And, I mean, you're not talking about committees, you're talking about vice chairs. It just seems a little pushy.
Well, okay. We're deadlocked, so the committee gets to take a vote. I would say, which name, I'm assuming you two are each gonna vote for yourselves. So, Carolyn, where are you at?
I understand the arguments and I understand where Kelly's coming from, so I would support Kelly at this point.
Okay, Teresa?
Kelly?
John?
Sure.
Kelly?
Neither, honestly. I think the police officer should be, so sorry.
Oh,
Okay, so
that's fine.
now we're, what does that make us? I vote
One,
for
two,
short.
three.
You're tied.
1, 2, 3, 4.
5. Shortens it. Okay. That's the board. Any other changes while we're at it?
Discussing if
Can I have a
we will
motion to
address the
approve the-
liaison positions.
Sorry, go ahead.
Pardon me?
Liaison.
Haven't gotten all the responses from the board members yet. Kathy sent out an email this morning asking the rest of the board members that we haven't gotten responses on the liaison positions to please respond ASAP, so we can take a look at those and put people where they want to be.
Well, grab a sheet before we're done.
Yes.
Can we turn
And
that
may-
sheet in now, the liaison?
Yes.
Okay, I have it with me.
Yeah, we could
Behind you.
give it to
Oh,
Kathy.
okay.
She's gonna kind of compile.
So Eddie said, liaisons don't usually go through this committee, they usually go through this. Yes.
May I ask, I understand that there's also an idea that not just board members be liaisons?
Well, yeah, I mean, there are a couple of liaison positions that do not necessarily need to be board members. Actually, with like Carolyn Schofield, I mean, we're going to be appointing her to the CMAP because she's been there for a long time.
I just wanted you to
Enjoys
have-
it. Yeah, there are, the Valley High Cemetery Board traditionally has not been a board member. So I'm going to reach out to that individual to see if he still wants to remain on there. And yeah, so they're not necessarily all liaison positions are filled by board members.
And I just wanted to make that clear as board members gave that to you, that there are other people who will also be on.
Correct, correct.
So are those, Chairman, are those the only two that you think will be filled without, I mean, just so I know not to.
Pardon me?
Are those the only two that you're thinking would be filled by outside people?
Maybe one other.
Okay,
I just
Right,
want-
thank you.
I mean, I have the results of the picture.
Okay.
Prioritize.
right. I want to keep those on, but I can
Plus,
understand.
yeah, board members are.
Right, I use this instead of chamber work, I just watched it on the board. So, when we read out committee members, I watched the board to make sure that everything we said was on this.
I just want to double check it before we adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
To make certain that's the one. You know what? Just let's go through it. I'll read what I have.
Yes.
Okay, folks, just to double check this board, I'm going to read the board, or I'm going to read my list. Please look at the board, make sure we got it right. So we're starting with board government, because
Are you
that's
gonna
the
start
top
with
one.
chairs then? Are you working off of this list?
I'm looking at what all my chicken scratchings on this,
Okay.
and I'm comparing it to there. If you guys would look and read through at the same time, maybe we make certain that the board is correct before we approve the board. Okay, that top is law and government, okay, so we'll start there. I have chair, Peter Walkoff. I have vice chair, Mike Shorten. Then I have Kunkel, Eric Hendricks, Campbell, Kelly Wagner, and
Larry, this
Brian
guy
Sauer.
here.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that's okay. What's the next one?
Transportation.
Transportation. Transportation, I have Chair Kearns, Vice Chair Sager. Then I have Kunkel, Reiner,
Kaminsky?
Kaminsky, Von
My
Bergen,
Johnsburg Bridge guy.
Scala. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so that's okay. What's the third one on the list?
Public health?
Public Health, I have Von Bergen as chair, Vice Chair Altoff. Then I have Gloria, Eric Hendricks, Mike Shorten, Kelly Wagner, Lou Ness,
Yes.
and that should fill that committee, correct?
Got it.
That's okay. After that, we have Planning and Development. I have Smith as chair. I had Reiner as vice, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I have Carolyn, myself, Carl Kaminsky, Lou Ness, and Jim Kearns.
Yes.
Okay, so that's all right. After that, we go to Valley High, is that
Yes.
the next one on the list? And Valley High, I have Meshes as chair, I have Gloria as vice chair, Van Hoff. I have Shorten, Terry Brito, Carl Kaminsky, Lou Ness, and Jim Kearns.
Yes.
That's okay.
Admin?
Admin, I have myself as chair, vice chair, I have Teresa Messes, and then I have Kunkel, Gloria, Eric Hendricks, Terry Brito, and Waltoff.
Yes.
Okay. And that should just leave the admin left.
Finance?
Finance, I'm sorry, I said admin, yeah, finance. Scholars chair, Wagner's vice chair. Meshes, Campbell, Greeno, Sager, Smith.
Yes.
Okay. So that board's right, please take a picture of it. And I have a motion to approve that board as we just read. By Mr. Short, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Sager, actually raised his hand first. It's really a voice vote, I guess. Mr. Reiner?
Yes.
Ms. Altough?
Yes.
Mr. Sager? Yes. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Scala? Mr.
Yes.
Shorten? Ms.
No.
Wagner? Ms. Campbell? And Ms. Meshes?
I'll do a no.
And I'll vote yes. It's approved,
You're not a voting
17.
member, Mr. Gottemoller.
What?
You're not a voting member.
That's right. I'm not
All right,
voting.
so can we go back to the vote then? For vice chair?
You're right, I didn't have a vote, so we gotta go back to that. Right.
It was a tie, and then you voted.
Well, he gets a vote if it's a tie, as the vice chair.
You wouldn't get a vote if it's a tie.
If it's a tie, that's what I'm saying.
Let me. Norton, Kelly. And it was Reiner, Altoff.
You can take it anywhere now.
Okay.
She's crystal lake, Charlie says it.
Brian, I didn't write it down. How did you vote on the short thing? Short. So,
It was 4 and 4. Scala abstained.
who's the fourth? I know it's you three plus
And Larry Smith.
Larry.
Larry Smith. Okay, so it's 4-4. He abstains, I get a vote, I vote. That's the only vote I get.
Done.
Coach Stan.
Done.
I didn't abstain. I
Right, he
chose
voted for
someone else.
Council.
Oh, he,
Yeah,
voted for
somebody
Kunkel.
else
Yes,
left
that's
the
right.
meeting, it left the vote for the dead.
Your vote wasn't an
That wasn't, your vote wasn't an option, you abstained.
Yes, perhaps you needed to talk more about Kunkel, and then it would have been a 3-3 vote.
Well, before the vote was taken, he should
Yeah,
have
right.
said
The
something.
motion was made. You were-
The motion's already on the floor.
Right.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll second that. I'll motion.
And a second, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, it's adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you all.
If you're a new county board member,